Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new indie game that was just released yesterday called Video Kid. I initially encountered the trailer for Video Kid a few weeks back for its up-and-coming release, and I have to say I was a little bit excited about this one. It looked like a really strong callback to the old Paperboy game with modernized graphics and a few really obvious 80s references thrown in the background. However, the actual gameplay itself leaves a lot to be desired. Instead of being a modernized retro game, it comes across more as an underdeveloped mobile port. The overall objective of Video Kid is rather simple. You're supposed to cruise through your neighborhood delivering VHS videotapes to finish your route before being late for your date. Rendered in Minecraft-style boxy sprites, in order to accomplish this objective, you'll be skateboarding through your neighborhood, jumping over cars, and avoiding every 80s and 90s reference you can possibly imagine. With a one-touch death mechanic, this almost runner-style skateboarding game goes from what could have been an amazing tribute to early games like Paperboy and turns it into a ridiculous slalom of cringe. Every referenced character from every TV show from the early 80s and 90s is thrown in at random with multiple per second. Whether it's movies, cartoons, videos, or random things that may have appeared on a cereal box or in a commercial, Video Boy throws them all at you as fast as humanly possible. And while this isn't necessarily a bad thing per se, each animated reference graphic has its own accompanying audio track. And possibly to avoid copyright infringement in many cases, they are highly modulated. This means that the wealth of reference encounters throughout the entirety of the gameplay turns the entire soundtrack of the game into a giant modulated garbled mess. The sound balance is so terrible that I'm not even sure if there actually is a background soundtrack. The gameplay controls are very simple. All you're really responsible for is the left and right directional buttons to move your character around the screen, as well as A to jump and B to throw videotapes. Videotapes can only be thrown to the left side of the street, so all you have to really do is mash the B button as many times as you can to make sure you hit every objective. A feature of the game that is remotely satisfying though is that the environment is largely destructible, so if you randomly hurl videotapes, you can splatter paint or break things or hit people. So if you're still touting that Anarchy A on your high school notebooks, this game might be satisfying at least for that respect. However, the controls being simple doesn't actually mean the character's easy to control. Harking back to earlier in the review when I said that this game feels like an unfinished mobile port, the actual gameplay and character controls is where that really comes into play. While jumping with the character is slow and floaty and feels somewhat natural, the side-to-side movements are immediate, meaning that the controlled pace in the forward progression of the game does not match the side-to-side movement. And as contact windows for obstacles and avoidances are incredibly tight, dodging and avoiding obstacles feels less than organic. Additionally, left and right movement cannot be combined with a jump in any way, shape, or form unless doing a trick off of something that you've already landed on. So in many cases, when a high obstacle that you can't jump over blocks your forward path and a low obstacle blocks your side path, there is literally no way out of the trap. The precision of the contact zones for avoidance obstacles also extends into obstacles that you're meant to jump over, moving vehicles being one of the most annoying. You can and will, in many cases, jump over or onto a moving vehicle, only to find that you've then somehow crashed into it even though you were awarded points for accomplishing the trick. And while a player definitely can modify their gameplay to avoid these slightly glitchy maneuvers, the real problem is that it just contributes to an overall poor experience and demonstrates a lack of game testing before production. This also comes across in some of the visuals and menu layouts for the game, even though the actual graphic sprites are highly polished. In the continue screen and in shop windows, the A and B buttons for accept or decline are generally in different places in the screen and are given different colors. While this really isn't a big deal, there's no reason why the digital representations of the accept and decline functions wouldn't mirror the location and color for the actual controller buttons themselves. And again, though not a really big issue for gameplay, it is just another element that's very counterintuitive. Video Kid does reach out, however, and try and nurture some level of player investment through the customizable skins for your avatar. These skins can range from different representations of angsty 80s movie social groups to iconic 80s and 90s movie characters. But the constant spamming of purchasable skins and abilities in nearly every single continuation window is where the feeling that this game was probably meant to be mobile really shines through. I can easily see a developer potentially trying to force microtransactions with this kind of a mechanic. Overall, I'd have to say that Video Kid is one of the worst games I've ever played and definitely one of the worst I've ever reviewed on this channel. And despite its over-the-top nostalgia grabbing, its faulty mechanics and absolutely atrocious sound balance make this game probably not worth buying at all. I hate to be terribly critical, especially about something I know somebody's put a lot of time into, but this is something that game developers really need to take a look at and learn from. Anyway, that about wraps up the review of Video Kid on the Switch. Again, I apologize about being negative, but if you liked the review or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support. And don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. These videos are coming out several times a week, so there's always going to be something new to find. And don't forget to check out some of the cool benefits for becoming a Patreon. Anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, and as always, thanks for watching.